A very good afternoon and welcome to yet another episode of the F.A.T Talks here on Smart 24, but also on the Fidelis Leadership Institute Twitter Spaces. We come your way every Thursday at 4 p.m. And if you have not logged in, please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend and just get in and let's have this conversation. It is a beautiful Thursday, very hot. I can assure you, I can feel it all the way in studio here. But I'm very excited. It is also a very interesting day. It is Africa Day, and it means a lot for me because we learn a lot from this day, in as much as we don't pay enough attention to Africa Day. But for me today in particular, it resonates with what we are yet to have a conversation about. We all know looking at the F.A.T Leadership Fellowship, and I have the alumni. We're going to have a conversation on this F.A.T Leadership Fellowship is about and how it went for them as we prepare for the next cohort. And a quick reminder that Fidelis Leadership Institute is all about teaching and raising and bringing together critical mass of ethical, leaders across the continent. And this reminds me of what Africa Day is all about. For the continent to prosper, it needs ethical leaders and independent institutions. Mr. Brian Karogo. He's an associate partner at Acadia Advocates. I also have with me Sophia Banjilana. She's the executive assistant to the CEO, Insurance Regulatory Authority. I'm very happy to have my F.A.T fellows. Allow me to use that word. Guys, good afternoon.
Good evening, Mel.
It is so great. It's fantastic. Now go to our social media platforms. Okay? Look for Fidelis Leadership Institute on Twitter, particularly because we have started the spaces. So just get there and join us this afternoon. Now a quick look at who the guests I have today are, about who they actually are. A quick look at Sophia. She is a passionate administrative professional, has experience working with teams while supporting boards and C-suite executives. Include diplomacy, relationship management, communications, business analytics, project management, and most recently, risk management in insurance. She's currently an with the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda as executive assistant to the CEO. And she says her formal training is in business administration, insurance, diplomacy, and international relations. And she can proudly say that she's added onto the FLI's mass of ethical leaders. And guess what? She has a mission statement. It was one of my most interesting moments. And I'm taking most of the time, but I want to tell you people who these people are. Now, her mission statement says to use her gifts and talents to mentor young minds and create compassionate, empathetic, and hardworking members of society. How beautiful. Wonderful, Sophia. Sounds really good. And then we have Brian. Mr. Brian Kambaho says he's an associate partner at Acadia Advocates. He's an entrepreneurial lawyer licensed to appear before all courts of law in Uganda. Bernard. He specializes in corporate and commercial legal practice with a bias in the banking and finance. He also represents various startups and tech companies on regulatory and general compliance. Brian currently is charged with business development and equally heads the task force responsible for rethinking organizational culture at Acadia Advocates. He is passionate about leadership and is keen on building ideas and people. In his free time, He volunteers on the Young Lawyers Committee, shaping mentorship for young lawyers in Uganda. He also serves on the Law Firm Management Program Steering Committee that is presently redefining business savvy law firm. Redefining a business savvy law firm under the Uganda Law Society. He also does mentorship in Uganda Law Society. My God, it's so long. He has human-centered skills. Guys, you're going to have to pay me if I have to go on with Brad's profile. But guys, I'm so glad to have you this afternoon. And you should have, I hope you alerted your people and our classmates that we are live on Smart 24. It's across the East African community, by the way. And we are, in fact, might be going global. So, quick one. Let's start from there. I want to begin with you, Brian.
All right.
What do you remember about the F.A.T Fellowship?
Well, as on the Twitter spaces, F.A.T Fellow. Oh, before I speak, I would like to say happy birthday to my wife.
Oh, happy birthday to your darling wife.
I would love to sing for her. Maybe that will be for another time. About the F.A.T Leadership Fellowship, what I remember most is the push to think.
Especially at that start. You know, that question is really huge.
Yes.
At the start, before you got into the fellowship, what was exciting about it for you to get into it?
Well, what was exciting was really this whole drive to be part of an ethical team. And when I got there, the first thing that they're talking about is purpose. So we straight away dived in to say, what is purpose? And I was encouraged to listen to Auntie Beat. Auntie Beat is quite famous among the young people, but also the many people in this Uganda. She works with Ministry of Education, and she has involved a lot of young people in mentorship. So that's what I remember to be very pivotal in the start to help me find a place. I think I was having a lot of questions at the time, despite my years of practice and experience. How do we get back to purpose? How do we understand what we are about? If I am a leader, how can I identify with fellow leaders? And I thought the Fidelis Leadership Institute gave me a good start and wake-up call.
I'm going to come back to that point of when you lie down in your bed, you ask yourself, do I have a purpose? I'm doing all these things. What is my drive? Where am I focused on? So I'll come back to that eventually. To you, Sophie. So how did you, first of all, what made you get into this fellowship? And how did you hear about it? Did you feel the need for you to be in that fellowship?
Thank you, good evening, people. Our viewers, the people in Twitter spaces. Lynn, now, what attracted me first was the word F.A.T.
Oh, yeah.
So you hear
The acronym. The acronym.
The acronym, but at that point it looked like a word. So I said, what is this about?
Yeah.
So I was pushed to read more into it, and then I realized it's a F.A.T fellowship. It's a leadership program. I work with leaders every day. People that are officially called leaders and people that are not officially leaders are actually more leaders than the official ones. So I is about, and also there was this the catchphrase, growing a mass of ethical leaders.
Yes.
That is something that is dear to my heart. You find sometimes at work you're struggling with it because there are different values, different things, different beliefs, and you're thinking, okay, I need to do the right thing. How will I do the right thing? So I decided I need to be deliberate about it and learn more about leadership.
Right.
Then also, I looked at the list of the
modules.
course, the course
The
trainers.
the
Course
trainers.
yes. And then what they were training about and their profiles and that kind of thing. And I said, these are people I need to know. Our networks are our network.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what pushed me to do that.
And equally, I learned about it and got into it, but I was already part of the team at Fidelis Leadership Institute. And so I realized, because Africa is dear to me, and we focus on Africa needing leaders who have values and walk by them, who are willing to go the long haul and make long-term generational investments, who will stand true to their values and leaders of unshakable integrity, leaders who are teachable in their and now this brings me back to fat. Guys, it's not fat. It's okay. You can think about that way because it's interesting. Oh, sorry. Faithful, available, and teachable. That is FAT, the acronym. And so I come to you, Brian. You say you wanted to get into the space where you focus on your purpose. Did you ever imagine that you lacked a sort of purpose in your life?
Well,
did it occur to you?
Yes, to a great extent. The purpose journey is one of discovery. And as you spoke about FAT, I remembered my good friend and mentor, Fiona Wall, and how I actually got to know about the FAT fellowship was after interviewing her at the Young Lawyers Mentorship Series, and she spoke about starting Institute to basically train fellow leaders and raise young leaders and empower them to go out there to Africa at large. So having served with Fiona, I was privileged to be part of her team at the Law Society as a young lawyer, as part of the committee, and I was privileged to say, I want to know how she does it. So when I interviewed her on the Young Lawyers Mentorship Series, she spoke passionately about equipping leaders. And Sophia here has mentioned the people she has rubbed shoulders with across the nation, across Africa, across the globe. She pulled all those into this training to say, guys, come, let us give back. So that's why I came to be part of that, to learn from them, to sort of connect and network.
Right. That's right.
Now, on the question of purpose, yes, from before I got to know Christ and I am a believer, the question of purpose has been alive all through high school, through campus, through law school, even in the work. Is what I'm doing valid? Is it adding value to this world? Am I doing anything impactful? Now, from discussions with friends, even in the Leadership Institute, even from before, their response is, it's good to be hungry. So when you're hungry, you want to know more. When you're hungry, you dig deeper. When you're hungry, you look back and self-evaluate. So I have been self-evaluating, and I believe even coming to the course, it helped me realize a lot more that every place I have been has not been a mistake. It has all been aligned to lead me to where I am. So I continuously discover bits and pieces of my purpose. Yes, I have fallen off the rail once in a while, but then I get back and say, I need to have long-term impact. I need to leave a legacy. And that question at the back of my mind is what keeps me going.
Wow. You've mentioned something that actually hit me when we were in that class. Because I remember, like you said, where you have been, the places you've been to, the work you have been doing is literally still to that purpose, but you're not clear on it. I don't know if Sophia experienced the same, because for me it was like, oh, well, it's an awakening. And I'm like, oh, I've been doing ABCD, but this is where it directs me. And it became more clear. How was it for you, Sophia?
Now, mine was not clear. What I would say is I've been told growing up, my first teacher was my mother, my father, and coming up.
Yes.
But then I had some values, but I didn't really know that there were values. I didn't have that deliberate thinking part. So what I got from Fidelis is it taught me that you can decide what your purpose is, not from what you're seeing, but from what you see that you've been doing.
Yes.
From your own, for example, let's say my character. We did those very many personality tests.
Personality tests. Yes.
So that shows you that actually what I have been doing, what I am, could lead me to my purpose. And then you start drawing a map to your purpose.
Yes.
So what Fidelis did for me is to make me deliberately focus on my purpose, on my values, and label them as that. They were not labeled before, they were there, but they were not labeled.
and still you're nailing it, because yes, we knew we had certain values, but we didn't know they were actually values. You know that you have a purpose, you have a mission in life, but you're not putting a name to it. You're not branding it.
And you see, when you label,
Yes,
you get more deliberate about it.
you become more intentional. Well, thank you for joining us. Those of you who've just joined us on Smart 24. This is the F.A.T Talks that comes your way every Thursday at 4 p.m. We are live on Twitter Spaces at Fidelis Leadership Institute. And with me today, a very interesting F.A.T fellow. That is Sophia Banjana, I beg your pardon, and Mr. Brian Kambaho. We're trying to look back at the F.A.T fellowship that just ended recently, as we prepare you and many others for the coming fellowship that is going to the next cohort that starts on 1st July. So if you have not yet checked out the Fidelis Leadership Institute, you need to, because there's so much, and this is what we are here to do and actually talk about. And as Sophia said, you eventually define who you really are. You look deeper into you and refocus. And this brings me to the question of there must have been interesting bits. Of course, you've hinted on a lot of things. But I'm going to ask you quite a number of things here. I'm going to ask what 3 things stood out the most for you. 3 particular things that stood out for you. All right, we'll start with Sophia. What 3 things stood out for you?
First, the fact that we were learning, but the learning was very interesting. We have these people who are very dynamic. They're not the usual teachers, lecturers. The way we see our teachers usually is uptight, and they want us to do a paper and pass the paper. But what I liked about Fidelis is you are actually examined, but you don't even realize you're doing an exam.
I know.
At the end of it, you have learned so much, and it has stuck to your head, but you don't know that you actually did it.
That's true.
And yet we are examined. Then another thing is the chronology. We started with defining our values. Defining our purpose.
Defining our purpose, yes.
Defining our purpose. Then we went to defining our values. And then we went to having a strategy of how to come up with these values and how to manage them and how to go on with them. And then after that, there's so many other things they added to us. Like, they were making us a whole person. Like, there was public speaking here. Then there was how to manage your finances.
Yeah.
And then there are things like project management.
I know.
You manage your life. It has nothing to do with I have this particular job that I'm doing. It applies to every facet of your life. Everything you do on a daily, we learned how to manage them, how to go about them deliberately and intentionally. I like that. It gave me a focus.
I'll give you a focus. That is 2. Number 3.
Oh,
They're supposed to be.
the ethics. The emphasis on ethics.
Yes.
Every instructor we got was emphasizing
The most exciting thing,
Very exciting. You see, the we have today,
yes,
we all read the news and we all know what's happening. We have a deficit, I should say, in the ethics department. So the fact that Fidelis is emphasizing that, like I said, you have to be deliberate. Sometimes you might have it in you that maybe I want to be ethical, but because you've not pinpointed it, you've not said this is what I want to be, it might just pass you by. So if you're deliberate about it, I think you will get it right. And then also the fact that Fidelis says they want to create a mass of ethical leaders.
yes,
You might not reach everybody, but
Absolutely.
believe me, you reach 1 or 2, and the 2 will reach
the
1 or 2, and then it will create a ripple effect. So it doesn't matter. Start small, you will grow big.
Wow. That point of all our trainers were ethical. there's something about them. Like they belong to a certain similar club of sorts.
Yeah.
As if they
I don't know.
environment that Fidelis is rather is very intentional on who impacts who and where. And so when they do the fellowship, they're very critical of who the people, who the trainers are. So for me, that was very comforting and very encouraging because, my goodness, you have a new trainer, but they are almost cut from the same cloth.
And it's like they're your best friend.
The best friend you never knew.
You don't know them, but they are your best friend.
My goodness, very exciting. Now, Brian, what do you rate?
Well, the things keep coming to my mind, so I don't want to miss them. So I chose to write a few pointers.
What stood out? The three things that stood out for you?
Yes, the first of the three things that stood out for me was people, from just the facilitators to the fellow people like yourself, like Sophia, like you, Lynn. Where would I have found you? A simple me.
Interesting.
But beyond that, the lecturers, as she mentioned, I remember one profound experience was having a talk with I think his doctor or his professor or his Mr. Sam Watasa.
Oh yeah.
And he tickled my mind for the entire session. He was talking about creative thinking. And I thought I'm a creative thinker. But after having a discussion with him, I really thought I really need to think more creatively.
Yeah.
Now, the beauty with that is that I was able to follow it up with a conversation, call him privately. We had talk, a long phone call of about 2 hours, just talking about creative thinking. How can we strategize? How can we plan better? How can we capitalize on the skills that we already have to equip us for better? So that's the type of people that we have at Fidelity Leadership Institute. They will go the extra mile to give you that attention, to listen to you and to break it down for you. So he helped me break down a lot of things personally. The other that I could think about is the tools. Because one of the self-discovery tools I think that were shared in the course helped us with personal discovery. There was a questionnaire that we did with Auntie Beat, and she was talking about purpose.
Yes.
She was talking about temperaments, but also I think they shared various links to what could help us discover ourselves, to what could help us be better equipped and understand who we really are. So I thought the tools were a good take home for anyone and everyone. And then maybe finally was the variety. As we mentioned earlier, we had lawyers, we had insurers, we had public servants, we had people in the medical and pharmaceutical space. So the ability to be...
We had business people. We had comms people like myself.
Yes, I think there was actually someone who is interested in politics. They want to run for MP at some point. So that's the type of people that Fidelis pulls together, and I thought that was really, really profound.
Profound indeed. Now, as you have heard, I can tell you we can have this conversation until tomorrow because the fellowship was the most amazing moment for me, and it turns out for everybody else. Now, Sophia and Brian, we have a culture here at the F.A.T Talks that happens every Thursday. So we ask you what is true about you or what is not true about you. The truth and the lies. You will, at the end of the show, at the end of this conversation, tell us what is actually true and what is not. So I'll begin with you, Sophia. What is so true about you and what is not true?
I want to tell you what's the truth.
Of course, you don't have to because that will tell us at the
end.
Yes.
Okay. 2 phrases about me.
Okay.
I am very inquisitive.
She's very inquisitive.
And then I am very competitive.
And very competitive. Oh, okay. Those 2. One is true, the other is false. Okay. Brian, what is true and what is false?
Just 2?
It's okay. You can give us 4.
Let us work.
I have never left East Africa. And then I have shot a gun.
Never shot a gun. We're going with those two?
Yes.
Just sticking to your sure.
Yes. Those two.
Right, so you've had it for yourselves, those of you on our Twitter spaces and those of you who've just joined us on Smart 24. Sophia says these are some of the things that are maybe true or false about her. She's very inquisitive and she's equally very competitive. So you decide. And for Brian, he says, what do I keep saying? He says, never left East Africa. He says he's never left East Africa. And also says he's never shot a gun. So you decide who is telling us the truth and what is the truth and who is lying to us and what is the lie. And so we are having a conversation fellowship had on the now F.A.T fellows. I don't know why they don't want to use that statement. I'll figure out why, because they keep running away from me. I'm using it because it's okay. It feels good.
But
But
one F.A.T fellowship.
they gave us another acronym at the end at graduation. You remember? ACT.
Oh, yes.
What was that? And then they said ACT, F.A.T.
Yes. Well, the acronym that we got from the Fidelis Leadership Institute, the A standing for Be Authentic, the C standing for Be Creative, and then the T standing for Be Trustworthy.
Trustworthy.
So be
F.A.T.
act fat.
ACT, F.A.T.
So be authentic, be creative, be trustworthy, and then be faithful, be available, and be teachable.
Imagine you have all that and you are a leader or somebody's going to employ you. Imagine all the good they're going to enjoy because you are ethical and you are well positioned to carry on this job. Now, Sophia and Brian, if you remember correctly, we had quite a number of trainers, and you've already hinted on this. They were very ethical. They were you'd enjoy class. I mean, it was a one-on-one. Were few, but enough, and the training was quite interesting. But the question here is, do you think that the trainers did enough? Did they do good to the courses or the modules they were teaching us? I will begin with you, Brian.
Oh yes, I think they more than did excellently. Every other weekend, and this is a 16-week program you do every other 2 weeks. But as regards the trainers, I actually think that they exceeded my expectations because they shared from their deep wells of experience. Majority told us what they have actually done, what they are doing,
Yes.
and how it has impacted. I could very easily relate. So from the trainers, I could say they made it very relatable for everyone, and the trainers were diverse. Some were lawyers, some were teachers, some were in the public space, some were businessmen, some were consultants. As you can tell, really, it would be very difficult for you not to relate with any one of them.
There was a pastor as well.
Oh yes, I believe there was a pastor, a preacher as
Yes,
well.
a preacher.
So it is a full packaged faculty to equip us.
An international acclaimed John Maxwell.
Yes.
We had a John Maxwell coach
Coach.
telling
Yes.
us how he does his things. He's just good at it.
I mean, you guys, we are literally like reliving the moments we had during the F.A.T fellowship. Now, Sophia, maybe if anything that Brian could have missed out on really, if you think the trainers were, apart from them being amazing, did they really deliver?
Yes, I will agree with Brian. The trainers really delivered beyond expectation. They taught us so much that we didn't know. Literally, you would walk away every Saturday with something new.
Yes.
And you would, I don't know why I found it necessary to share everything I was learning. So you find I'm just talking, I'm at home with my daughter, I'm like, do you know what I learned today? This and this and this. So you find the way they delivered their classes,
Yeah.
made it stick. It's not that at the end of the class I have to get my book, read through my notes and try to understand. Like I would leave knowing what I have learned.
Absolutely.
And it has stuck with me until today.
And guys, to remind you, we never dozed off. There was never a moment where someone is dozing in class.
Oh, and then also, maybe not about the trainers, but the learning environment. Yes. It was beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, yes. The meeting place being at a border, which is beautiful view of Kampala. It's very quiet and serene, but also allowed for us. About the lecturers, I actually wanted to make a comment. Now that I look back, not once was there any time that they were late. They were always earlier than all of us. So they come early for the class, they prepare in advance, they actually want to start on time. Some of us kept coming in a few minutes. Minutes. Please match the keyword.
Hours. But then also they had very well prepared classes.
Yes.
As in they prepared beforehand and they had very well prepared classes.
Yeah.
Not, my God, it was amazing. It was full of, it was a learning experience. I had lost focus on having ethical people come to speak, and you're like, oh, growing up in high school, you'd get those moments where you have preachers coming over, motivational speakers coming to school, and then you're amazed, wow, this is what happened to me. I was like, wait, we still have people who speak like this.
Yeah.
But then there's another thing. Traditionally, people who talked a lot about ethics and being good and what termed as boring. I was not bored, not even once.
I just told you, we never does them.
They valued our time and gave us their best.
Absolutely.
And you could feel valued even in this adult learning. Adult learning can be very hard. Today, people do not want to wake up early, even if the start time is 9 a.m. in the morning. The people come and they're ready and they're equipped and they're charged. And they want to share this bowl of energy, and we could pick it up and run with it, share with our daughters. Mine is still very little to
But I'm sure you would have done it.
Oh yes, I would tell her in her 1 year of age and say, today we had a very good lesson. Yeah.
And talking about good lessons, Brian was one of the most inquisitive people.
Oh, that.
Very curious, and then he would want us to want to ask that. But in that, we also equally learned quite a lot. Now, Brian, this brings me to our next question. Would you say that the course is for everyone at any, is the course for everyone at any stage in their lives? And which categories of people do you think would benefit most from this course?
Well, as I mentioned before, I think anyone that is on a path, on an ethical path, if you want to have impact in society, in your life, in your business, you ought to be studying, you ought to be adding knowledge. And the course is designed to pull together a critical mass of ethical leaders. So why it's tailored for everyone, for the diversity of people that are out there. They show what they can do in this world. They show that there is no particular segment that is focused on, but it's focused on leadership. Remember, everything lies and starts or bends and breaks with leadership. Begins and ends with leadership. We need a leader in every space, in the family space, in the governance space, in the entertainment space. The 7 mountains of influence, as I have come to learn before, need leadership at the forefront. So if you want to lead in whatever small space that you're involved in, be part of a critical mass of ethical leaders.
Absolutely.
So I think...
And it's never too late.
It's never too late. Even when you have done countless of courses in leadership, like I have attempted to do, I still found that this was a fresh learning.
Absolutely. So, would you say the same?
Yes, what I have to say about leadership is what I actually learned from Fidelis is leaders are not only the ones that are labeled leaders. We're all leaders in our own way.
Yes.
We lead in our lives. We lead the people around us.
Yes.
It brings me to F.A.T. F.A.T is faithful to my values, available to my community, and teachable. It's a continuous process of learning. I have to be deliberate about learning more and making myself better every time. Now, this has stages in life.
Yeah.
So from the time you're young, you need to keep learning. You have maybe more to learn. But I wouldn't be surprised if an older person has more to learn than a younger one.
You know.
But you have more to learn always. You need to be faithful to your values. So you need to cultivate them when you're much younger. And then our communities, if we don't help each other, then how are we going to live in this world? Because if you don't help the people around you, then it will affect you in one point, at one point in your life. So I think this fellowship would benefit everybody at any stage. Because like I said, I'm sharing with my daughter. My daughter is a young adult. She's 18.
Wow.
And there's a time, the time we studied public speaking, she had a presentation she was doing at school. So I used what I had learned to help her with her presentation. And it was, she even had these little, what do they call them? Those cards.
Yes.
The colored one.
Yeah, the cards. Basically, it was a good presentation.
So you told us to start with a story.
Yeah. I thought to start with a
confident.
story to relate to her people, to what she's talking to.
Right.
Now the confidence comes with knowing and preparing. So we practiced it. With me, there was a lot of criticism here and there and improvement points. So, but I think the younger ones as well, the younger than her, they also need to learn. They might not come to Fidelis Leadership Institute, but they need to learn to be leaders.
Yes.
Have you seen a little 3-year-old leading Hamas?
Yes.
Ethical leader.
In nursery school.
Yeah. There's always that one.
Yeah.
Who you're going to tell them we need to go and steal the crayons.
Yes. You need to collect the pencils.
Exactly.
There's one who told me they used to lead a gang of people who steal, of children stealing mangoes. I will not mention her name.
No.
Yeah. So you see, there's a leader.
Yeah, there's a leader.
But then also the older people, because you might think maybe I'm coming close to my retirement age, so I don't need this. But I think you need it because remember, retirement is another whole phase of life.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And if you don't manage it well, you will suffer.
It was, yeah.
So you also need it at that stage. So I think this leadership thing comes from way back until until the end of your life. Really.
Absolutely. And it's a continuous thing. You know, you've got to remind yourself of who you are, how you need to embrace the life that you have given, the jobs that you've given, because even at your job, you're a leader, or in some sort, even if you're not in a big seat, as they like to call it.
No, let me tell you what I learned. At the job, how you're a leader without being labeled a leader.
Yes.
Is comes to your desk, you ensure to finish it. And then whoever doesn't know their job well or is lacking in some knowledge somewhere, if you have it, share it.
Absolutely.
You know, that kind of thing, as in take the lead in whatever, and then ensure that all your work is done well. That is how we do it in our jobs.
Absolutely.
And you will be recognized for it.
You know, you'll be earning. You're the
It
people.
doesn't hide.
Yes, you'll be the people getting what are they called? Employee of the Year awards, those things.
Yes.
But that is an interesting thing that comes to my mind, Sophia and Brian. The issue, what's the difference between ethics and influence? Can you be a leader of influence and ethical, or can you be unethical but you're of influence? Yes.
Say the question again, the last part.
Okay.
Can you be unethical and of influence?
Yes.
Can you be...
Or can you be unethical but yet influential?
Yes.
Okay, let's leave it at that. If I bring the other side, you will get confused.
Yes.
No, I think being ethical gives you influence. It gives you influence, but you can be unethical and still very influential.
That's the thing.
Because there are those people who are just naturally charismatic, so they are influential and everything. But I think that kind of influence has a ceiling, like, and you don't know what to do about it. Because when you cut so many corners, you reach a point and you will not know where.
You probably get lost.
Amazed and you. Yeah, I think ethics will give you influence because you know you have values and you're communicating these values. So you will get there. You might start without the influence, but you'll definitely get it.
Absolutely. Brian?
Well, I am being creatively inspired broadly. If I could play the devil's advocate, I am an advocate, but
Yeah, the devil's advocate.
for
now.
for this conversation,
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
not the actual devil's advocate. But I would say influence. Anyone can have influence. You know, when we speak about leadership, sometimes it is said that a leader is one that has followers. That means to have a follower, you have some sort of influence, even if it's one person. Now, the ethical element is that you want your followers to follow the ethical part about you. Now, if you are unethical, yes, there will be people that come and follow or are influenced by your unethical behavior.
Right.
And today we have very many unethical people, especially on social media. People will make almost anything go viral, including the very sad fact that they're now expired degrees, for example, and you could have that being spread as widely as possible.
Yes.
But if you are a leader, you want that whoever is following you, they want to follow you for the right things.
Yes.
Now, if I should add to that, I also know that the absence of ethical leaders will create a vacuum, and then the unethical leaders will take center stage. So if we don't have leaders at each of these points of influence,
Right.
which are the mountains of influence that I spoke about in government, in education, in family, in entertainment, if we do not have ethical people at the helm of each of those things, then the unethical will rise, because at any time to follow. So it's either the charisma that Sophia has spoken about, that they will just follow because the person is charismatic, or they look big, or they speak boldly, or they are beautiful in a certain way. The world has painted things the other way around. It's a warped understanding of society, and that's why we can't to leadership. When we talk as leaders, walk it, be it, teach it.
And let me add to that.
Yes,
Brian
yes.
has said there's a gap that's created. If the ethical people don't come up, there's a gap.
And that
between
gap
the
is
ethical
filled
and-
by
exactly. So I think this is the gap Fidelis leadership is
it's trying to fill.
All right.
I like that you guys were in class.
We are
I'm
fat
telling you.
fellows.
We are fat fellows. Yes, and indeed, this is the gap that the FAT leadership, the FAT leadership fellowship is trying to fill. And we are saying that we are announcing to you that our second cohort for the FAT leadership fellowship will be starting soon. Now, if you go to FAT leadership, beg your pardon, Fidelis Institute. If you look up Fidelis Institute, trust me, it will show up. Go to our website, go to our social media platforms. You'll find all these, because calling for applications, we are calling for applications as we speak. So if you're interested, so far from what these two have shared, and the in here, because I was equally a member of the class, and so I want to believe that you have picked a thing or two and you're interested and you'll take on this FAT leadership fellowship. That starts on 1st July. So please don't say we did not tell you. But I'm very glad to see people on our Twitter spaces. Hello, I'm seeing you guys. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And we are speaking the impact this FAT leadership fellowship has had on the FAT fellows now, the first cohort. And we are glad that you're joining us this afternoon. Sorry, they reminded me this evening. Now, we continue having this conversation for a bit. And I want to ask Sophia and Brian. It's a Saturday. These are weekend trainings, and they happen on the weekend every Saturday. Probably they're Friday. And sleeping in, and then you realize, my God, I have to go to class. I'm thinking about sacrifice, because the weekend, oftentimes we dedicate to our families, oftentimes we dedicate to ourselves. So in the 16 weeks, how did that sacrifice feel for you? After graduation, were you like, oh, thank heavens that is done too. I begin with this. Yeah.
Okay. I would say I was very, very geared up every Saturday morning to go for my classes. I won't say I attended all of them because things came up that I had to do. But whenever I finished, I would have to let go of some things to go for my classes. As in, I would have to wait. And most times I would go for my classes because they were interesting. And then I was so interested in knowing, okay, what are we doing today? Who are we meeting today? Another thing I haven't mentioned, my classmates, they were a delight. I learned a lot, even just by talking to them. I learned so many things. You see, with adults teaching, rather learning, it's not about what am I learning, just getting knowledge. It's also about the network.
Yes.
The people you meet, the connections you make, how you can help each other. It's a big thing. So I like meeting people. So for me, any chance to meet a new person, I attend a function and I give myself a target. I'm like, okay, by the time I leave, I'll have to have spoken to like at least 2 or 3 new people.
But Sophia, I need to learn that from you.
I'm networking.
I do, but I'm not that intentional. Like if I'm going to, okay, but recently after this fellowship, I think I changed my attitude and I'm more intentional. When I go in a space, I'm telling myself I need to at least speak to a couple of people. Yes, and Brian, the sacrifice.
Yes, the sacrifice was really huge for me. I will tell you that I missed the class by Tony Otoa, and yet I really love public speech. So I was so geared up to attending that particular class, and then it so happened that that very Saturday is when we had a family function for my brother who recently got married. So yes, there was a huge amount of sacrifice on the weekends. With adulting, it's almost impossible to have your weekends free of any schedule. It's either a wedding, or it's a sports day, or it is a meetup with friends, or it is a family function, or you have to travel up country. But then there was a beauty in that, because during the F.A.T Fidelis Leadership Institute, they had an online option.
Yes.
And for majority of the weekends, I remember my friend Constance, who works in Gulu, was actually attending online. So even for that particular Saturday when I was away, I managed to log in online, and I could attend, I could listen in, I could comment here and there, save that I couldn't do it for the whole time, so since I had a family function. But the fact that that option was available, I think is credit to the management of the Leadership Institute.
Absolutely, yes, because it's flexible. But it's more interesting for you, considering the fact that you are investing in yourself. And at the end of the day, like, wow, this is something good. I'm very proud of myself, And so this brings me to another question that almost is closely related. So when you look back at this fellowship, and would you say that it empowered you, and in what way, Brian?
Well, it has empowered me in many ways. One, the first and obvious one being knowledge. Knowledge has been enhanced because from listening to various people, you can't fail to take a lesson home or two. So the knowledge was definitely an addition. My mind was tickled to think creatively, to think differently. The people, the networks, I got to meet this awesome Sophia here and Lynn, my F.A.T fellows, and about 17 others.
Yes.
I don't remember the number exactly.
Yeah, we're about close to about 30, 20 thereabouts.
Yes.
Don't forget lecturers.
Yes, including the lecturers, including the space that we were learning from. So there's that beauty of networks. And I, for one, I am a people lover. So I love people. I love to meet people. I love to make networks. I am a typical sanguine.
Don't tell me you learned that from the class.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Yes, I got to know that this is who I am. So let me embrace it and run with it. But a lot more than that was was the belief that I have like-minded people
Yes.
that are pushing towards the goal of ethical leadership in this society, in this Uganda, in Africa at large. Today being Africa Day,
Yes.
I'm excited just thinking about what a coincidence that
I
we're
know,
talking about
right?
leadership and for Africa at large. So it's only a matter of time that the like-minded fat fellows will be at the center stage of leading the continent, the nation, the small
Absolutely.
community to a better place. So
Fantastic.
I count it great joy to have been a small part of that movement.
And we are slowly impacting
And
the
we are
bigger.
growing
Yes, we're
bigger.
growing. Sophia.
Believe me, it's a ripple effect.
Absolutely.
Now, me, how it empowered me.
Yeah.
I am a person, much as I like meeting people and speaking to people, I'm very comfortable being in the background. I will do something and I will enjoy seeing the impact without me necessarily coming out.
Yeah.
Let me liken it to maybe a fashion show. I'm the one, the fashion designer, and then I will have my models coming out on the catwalk and what. I won't want the last part where I have to come out.
Reminds me of
And be
myself.
seen.
I want to be.
I will be happy seeing my project, my product. And funny enough, it's what I do for a living.
You know,
I empower people to shine.
Oh, you know, I got to learn that that's actually also part of purpose. That sometimes you can also be better equipping the leader.
Exactly.
yes.
And part of understanding that that's your role, sometimes you're best placed as the deputy and not the head.
Thank you
And part
very
of self-discovery is good.
So what I learned is staying in the background sometimes is selfish.
Oh,
Because you might have so much to share by speaking up. But if you don't speak up, people will not know, like you won't share your knowledge. And I have quite a bit of knowledge to share. I think I've had so many years of experience
I agree.
in so many different companies, multinationals. I've been everywhere.
that's good.
So I have quite a bit of knowledge to share, but if I keep quiet and stay in the background, it's really hard. I need to find avenues to
There was a point where we learned about branding.
personal brand.
Personal branding. And I remember our trainer told us that, what is the statement? Embrace your weird.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Embrace your way.
My God, I've never gotten over that. So every time my weird shows up, I'm like, okay, I've got to embrace my weird. But I also learned that part of personal branding is you like being in the back. I even like being in the back. But lately, after that fellowship, I'm looking out for myself. I'm like,
Oh, yes.
okay, I can do all this, but I'm also here. Can you look at me? This is what I'm doing as well. And it was really amazing.
What stood out for me is you can do both.
Exactly. You can do both and you will excel at both.
So it's interesting that you guys like to be in the background. I like to be at the forefront.
Yes, we know, sir.
We complement each other.
But I'm also learning that sometimes you gotta
You
take
need
it
to
easy.
settle.
You have to take it slow.
And let other people.
One of the other catchphrases from the Fidelis leadership training was also by the gentleman that spoke about entrepreneurship. And he also spoke about showcasing your failures.
Yes.
And
Oh, yes.
sometimes if you have not told your story of how then most likely people will not know your story, will not know who to trust you. It's easier to trust a person that has failed and pick themselves up as opposed
It was
to
hard
one.
for me to understand, actually, to really appreciate that you'd rather embrace somebody who's failed than somebody who's been excelling.
Yes, what he said is if people don't see your failures, they will not think you're authentic.
Yes.
They'll
Yeah.
think you're a fraud, you're telling lies about all this success.
Because
I
for
think
you,
one
are you
kind of
God?
person is successful only.
So in being authentic, tell your story.
Authenticity.
Show us the process. How did
Yeah.
you get where you are?
Yeah.
Did you fail? Did you fall? Did you rise again? Did you fall again? Did you
Yes.
pick yourself up?
And another thing you're doing is sharing your learnings from your mistakes.
Yeah.
So you share
That-
your lessons.
That was another one. I remember asking him like, but how? Because I'm going to lose potential clients if I keep, showcasing my failures. And I was like, no, on the contrary, you won't. This is where they will know, oh, you're authentic. And boy, was it very interesting.
Like
Well,
the
that's-
saying, once bitten, twice shy. So
Yeah.
if I know you've been bitten, I'm sure you will be shy to fail. So I want to trust you with bigger money.
Yeah, so you plan better and
Yeah.
do better. Yes, Sophie has something to
came
add.
out in public speaking.
Uh-huh.
For example, they said when you're speaking to a group of people, start with a story, a true story. Tell them, as in relate with them, let them know who you are, what you've been through. Then it will be more interesting because they'll be relating to who you are.
Wow.
So showcase your failures, your whatever it is that you are.
So has your posting on social media changed? Experience of Fidelis, when you tell your child about whatever encouragement, do you now share the process, or do you just say you have to fail, you are an A leader, you are the best of the best?
You don't exactly share
Yes.
the failure like that of I have failed and what, but share it by showing how you learned from it and what you gained from the failure.
So you pick the
Absolutely.
lessons.
Wow,
Nice
wow,
one.
very interesting. So to you, our to space people, we're glad you joined us actually. If you have any questions or any comments, please just leave a comment for us or a question. I think our admin can let you in on you can speak to us if you have a question for Brian, a question for Sophia and the entire Fidelis leadership, because we are representing it today. We are here, we have all the answers, most of the answers. Not all of them, but most of the answers. So please reach out to us, or if you have a question for Brian or Sophia, this is the time. I'm opening up the spaces. Our admin is going to let you in. If you have any question, please reach out. Let me see if we have any comments. Okay. All right. Yes. Those of you on Smart 24, if you have any question or comment, you could also share it and we'll definitely get into it as we continue this conversation. We are almost at the end of it, and as you prepare your questions, we'll get an alert shortly if you have any questions. But I want to ask these fellows, so as we prepare for the second cohort, because definitely most of them are looking up to you like, they did this, I think I should also do it. What do you want them to know? What is that one thing you would want them to know before they get into this fellowship? Sophia?
I would say come in with an open mind and allow yourself to learn. Because you see, most people usually, when they're starting something, they have so many prejudices before they even start.
Yes, true.
So don't have the prejudices. Put them aside and be open to learning. Because I think the way that this fellowship was structured is to help you take away as much as possible. So come with an open mind and allow yourself to learn. There's so much knowledge to acquire. There are so many people to meet.
Yes.
And there's so much to gain.
There's so much to gain. Brian?
Well, you saw my point, because
like minds.
like mine think alike. Yes.
Yeah.
Be open-minded. Well, learning, from experience, learning never stops. So in addition to being open-minded, I'm willing to share. Because if there's anything that is beautiful about the way the course is structured, is there's open sharing, from being truthful about your story, your experience, your lessons, the faculty, the admin, the people that you meet. Just share your story. You never know who could pick a leaf. I remember there's a gentleman who shared about entrepreneurship journey, and he's doing import and export of fruits, and that is Sam.
I think avocados?
Some,
Yes.
Vegetable.
He shared his started out in a small business, Brana Babies, to do children products, on how to start, how to go ahead, on how to start small, to plan and just test the market, take the risks. But even in the farming, I got to learn later that he had also been part of farming in some way, doing bull fattening. And how would I have known or met such a person? So as you come to do the training, be willing to share from your well, because the hand that gives is the hand that receives.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a Fantastic takeaway. So, come with your open minds, and please, we're giving this is formal for you, because do not miss out on this opportunity. You will in future remind yourself, I should have taken the course because it is the best. I'm glad to see that we have the Director of Criminal Investigations on call, and that is AIGP Tom Magambo. We're very glad to have you, sir. We have seen quite a number of people. We're glad to have you, gentlemen and ladies. I see Mugara Patrick. He calls himself a radical centrist. Very interesting. We have Caroline Egesa, an inspirational leader, motivational coach, and lawyer. Very glad to see you on the call. We have Cyrus Kasozi, says he's adaptable, hardworking, and detail-oriented cinematographer. Fantastic. You see, the kind of people we attract is actually what Fidelis Leadership is all about. If you enroll for this F.A.T Leadership Fellowship, I assure you, it is a diverse course. First of all, the contents of the course itself are diverse. The trainers are diverse. The people the fellows with whom you sit and study with, equally diverse. So really, where else would you rather be if not at the Fidelis Leadership Institute, taking on the F.A.T Leadership Fellowship? Ladies and gentlemen, if there are no questions, let me take a look. If there are no questions, I think we could proceed and see. Okay. Now this is for the reveal time. I see no questions. Let's get to the reveal time. Drum rolls, drum rolls. Yes. And so we had two guests this afternoon, and we had Sophia Banana. Sophia says she's very inquisitive and very competitive, and you are voting that she is very inquisitive. Yes. Majority of you are saying she's very inquisitive. Is it true?
Yes, the truth is I'm inquisitive, but I am hardly competitive.
Hardly competitive.
It is
nice.
the contrast.
Yes.
I'm hardly, I feel comfortable in my skin. I think my actions will speak for me.
Wow. So she's highly inquisitive, but not competitive. The space is enough for all of us. We can equally succeed. I think that's her. Okay, and then for Brian.
So they got it right.
Hold. Yes, they got it right. I thought you were predicting yours. Sorry.
Okay.
Apologies. I thought she was predicting.
No.
Okay, so they got it right, that you are actually very inquisitive. Now, for Brian said he's never left the East African region, and he also never shot a gun. Now, 67% of people are saying he has never left the East African region, and 33% are saying you've never shot a gun. So, sir, which one is true?
So people really think I have never left this.
No.
Hey.
They agree. 60.
They agree.
Wait, never left. Oh, yes, they think you have never left. Sorry.
So when they look at me, they think I am
But
just.
this guy told you that he's
Uganda.
part of the East African Law Society.
But yes, I agree with them. I have actually never left East Africa. The farthest I've been is Kenya and Kigali and Tanzania. I've not been beyond that. I've not gone overseas. I've only gone over border.
So that's true.
Over lakes.
So that's true. And what's
Yeah, that
false?
is true. What is false is that yes, I've shot a gun. I had friends that took me to those places where you try out and
Can they be my friends?
and
Because I want to.
do gun shooting. Well, just to get the knowledge, but it's not a simple thing. Well, there's a lot of people with guns nowadays. So
Oh yeah.
it's a sensitive topic.
I know.
So it's not something to be. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. But yes, and so the truth is he's never left East Africa. That's for sure. He says he's been in and around East Africa, and he has actually never shot a gun. He did.
I have.
You have
Yes.
shot a gun. Okay. Wow. So that's Brian for you, and that's Sophia for you. But a quick reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that the Fidelis Leadership Institute is currently calling for the F.A.T Leadership Fellowship that we have been talking about, and I urge you to go to fidelisleadershipinstitute.org. Look for that. Go to our website at fidelisinstitute.org, and you will get all the details there. The program July 2023, and for more information you can reach 0707, yes, 0707 815 003. That's the number to call. Also, you can email info@fidelisinstitute.org or fidelisinstitute.org. You're looking for. I assure you, it is not a time like they've talked about for 16 weekends. Actually, it's a sacrifice that you'll be proud of at the end of the day. So, ladies and gentlemen who've joined us actually on social media, on our Twitter Spaces, thank you so very much. Those of you who've been watching us on Smart 24, thank you indeed. We'll catch you again next time. Same space, of course, on Twitter Spaces under Fidelis Leadership Institute and on Smart 24. We are online and everywhere on different platforms. You can find us there. Thank you so much, Sophia. Thank you, Brad, for making time and for educating us. And I like
you get
it.
a parting shot.
Hey, please.
Oh yeah.
So Brian had practiced. Let me tell you, Brian had practiced. And I've been watching TV. I need to go about it the right way. So please, you're.
Oh yes, I've actually never been on TV, so what a privilege. Anyway, my parting shot as I leave is really to just say, leadership starts with you, and there's no one that is going to teach you any better than that. So from the moment that you wake up, start by simply doing one act a day. Lay that bed and take it on from there. And before you know it, you can lead yourself, you can lead your company, you can lead your family, you can lead this nation, you can lead an institution.
Absolutely.
God bless you.
Oh, bless you too. Sophia, parting shots.
My biggest takeaway from Fidelis, from the F.A.T Fellowship, was start your day early. Start your day early. You know, people are always saying, I need to sleep in, I'm very tired. But you see, if you sleep early, then you wake up early.
Yeah.
So start your day early. You get so much done earlier in the day. Then to the people that are planning to come to Fidelis, the sky is not the limit.
I know.
It gives you so potential. You believe in yourself. You start thinking you're bigger than the world. So look out, world. Here we come.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I am so grateful, lady and gentlemen, for this time. And those of you who've been watching, we're going to call it a day and urge you to look out for us for more F.A.T Talks next Thursday, 4 p.m. But I want to leave you with this. The Fidelis Leadership Institute is established to create a critical mass of ethical leaders that are going to impact our community, the nation, and most importantly, Africa. Happy Africa Day. How this happened, I don't tell, but it was such a beautiful coincidence. All right, we'll catch you again next time. I wish you the very best and God bless you.
Thank you.